talking about uncle and talking about Afrikaans and talking about bad bees, we got to talk about Mowalola. Big up Mowalola. She sat down with Complex to have a pretty wide-ranging interview. I've seen some of the clips on their Instagram page. I haven't watched the whole thing just yet. I might react to it on my Kick channel. Check out my Kick channel, kick.com/Agostinho But this clip in particular I wanted to react to because the topic is of interest, because I've spoken a little bit about Mowalola's tendencies to be controversial, her tendency to get under people's skin, and her tendency to sometimes upset people. So she speaks about a little bit of that now. The caption says, why does Mowalola upset people? Why is she, as a black woman designer, a rarity in fashion? Is she trying to provoke people with her designs? Mowalola sits down with Aria Hughes to explore these questions and more on the new episode of whatever, Please Something. I forgot the name. So big up Aria Hughes, big up Complex. Let's hear what Mowalola has to say about her tendency to upset people.
So I don't feel like I did anything
bad.
I feel like what they did to me was crazy. Like, I feel like they owe me an apology.
Yeah, I love that. It's already started off good. It's already started off good. I did nothing wrong. I did everything correct. Big up DSP. Fuck DSP. I love this energy already. Big up Mowalola.
Americans versus Africans.
Yes.
So dumb. Like, when I see that discourse, I feel embarrassed for them.
How much have your parents helped you with your brand?
If I had billionaire parents, as like the internet says, I feel like you would hate me because I would be everywhere.
With like the...
So she's not denying that she has parents with money. Just not. That's a very interesting way of phrasing something. So my parents aren't billionaires, but they're millionaires, or they did well for themselves. Hence why they helped me out with the brand. Which again doesn't really matter in this grand scheme of things. It's always strange to me when designers like her do that hiding thing, because people, especially the internet, people are gonna find out. You're better off just coming out of the gate. It's no one's business, I understand, but you're better off just being honest about your background and how your upbringing, and just getting it out the way. There's no need to kind of lie. I know the whole like working class, middle class LARP or cosplay is a way for people to feel like they've earned their position, to feel real, to feel grounded. But I don't think there's anything wrong with having parents with resources that are going to help fund your business. Because fashion, I'd imagine. I've never started a brand. I'm a fan of fashion, fan of streetwear, of course, but I've never ever started a brand or anything. But I'd imagine the cost, the startup cost to start a brand must be insane, because you have to buy so much product. Unless you're making stuff to order or whatever, right? What some people do. But if you're actually gonna have your own patterns, design your own things, manufacture them, blah 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 blah, you're investing a lot of money. That's not even including marketing. That's not including e-commerce. That's not including postage, whatever else it may be. Just in terms of getting that brand started, it costs a lot. So if you have an affluent, or if you have family with resources, with money that can help you, that's not a bad thing. That's a blessing. So lying about it is weird. But I liked how she didn't clarify. She didn't really answer the question either. I know this is a clip anyway, but that's a really funny thing there.
Sure. For instance, do you care who wears it?
I haven't seen anyone wear it apart from me. Oh, well, you wouldn't want white people wearing the shirt? Is that what?
Probably.
But it hasn't happened. Why does this piece of clothing like offend you so much?
Well, have you ever been offended by design?
No.
What did you think of?
It's pretty interesting, isn't it? I've never not to be offensive, and she's she's a lovely looking girl. I like the designs. But she comes across like a bit of an airhead, isn't it? And maybe it's just because I'm not plugged in as much, but I don't think I've ever come across a Nigerian airhead like that. Because usually Nigerian people are very smart, right? They value education and shit. So even if they're affluent and rich from backgrounds and shit, they still got a good head on their shoulders. So it's pretty interesting to see an African girl who's essentially a bit of a bimbo. It's kind of cool. I quite like it. But it's cool that there's nothing really going on behind it, which is why I think people shouldn't get offended by the designs. She's not trying to be malicious. She's not trying to be conniving. She's not trying to be divisive or problematic with her designs. She just saw the N-word. I like that, the fact that I like the flip. I like the fact that she took the Ebony magazine font and logo and flipped it with the N-word. I think that's a really clever flip. I think back in the day, if a streetwear brand would have done that, everyone would have been going crazy. I think she did flipping really, because you could even flip that and do blacked, You can do so many things with that, right? Mandingo. You could do these little things that kind of flips. I think the flip works really well. I think the whole N-word thing is more of an American sensitivity. I'm sure some UK people are really upset about it, but I've noticed American people have a real, they're very stern when it comes to making sure no one says that word in the first place, and also trying to, I guess for the lack of a better term, policing how it's used and what context. I think across the board, most probably African American people would rather we don't say that word at all, even if it is in kind of, in a way to kind of be friendly with one another. I think they would rather not. But I don't think her in particular was doing it to upset people. I think she just did it because it's a vibe. Simple as that.
What did you think of the feedback about JT?
I feel like people forget about what the I Love Black Women have brought to the culture.
We see a lot of collaborations. Do they help you immensely?
I feel like mostly it's to make them look cooler than they are.
What has made you...
That's a good point. I like that. Her way of talking is a little bit, it's sending to sleep. I'm not sure if that's a pill thing or just a vibe thing or just a Cali West Coast thing. But that way of talking, it's like, you're a little, like, whew, tough. But I'm also a really fast talker, I talk so fast and I yap so quickly that people think I have ADHD. Which I might have, who knows. But her way of speaking is a little bit, it's going to send me to sleep. But she has got a point there. I like what you said about JT. I thought that campaign she did with JT with the Beats headphones was fucking phenomenal. It really was on point. It really just resonated with the whole Y2K trend. And JT's always, and I think she kind of got on the JT wave before she was fully embraced by the fashion creative, quote unquote, alt scene that she is now. Big up JT. And I also like what you said about collaborations. It probably is a way to be cooler, but I think a lot of collaborators, and I'm looking at probably Palace as the best example, I think it's also a way to make a lot of good free money, if that makes any sense. You get to, because if I'm not mistaken, I forgot who told me this, but someone did say that collaborations pay a lot. A lot of these brands will pay to collaborate with a brand like Palace because they have all the clout, because that brand wants to sort of like get their product in front of Palace type customers. So even though for someone like myself who's a fan of streetwear from the outside looking in, even though I fucking hate Palace, would never wear it, I still get a little bit like, I wish they would just focus on their own, collection as opposed to do all the collaborations. But if you look at the collaborations they do in a calendar year and you think of it as all money, let's imagine they're getting like $500,000 each, or even $100,000 for each project. That's $100,000 that they could invest back into the brand. $100,000 that they could invest into a store. $100,000 that could be invested into a new hire that could, take them another level. So I see why brands do it. I see why there's a tendency to do it. I just wish as a customer, as a fan of the culture, fan of streetwear, that they would kind of slow down on the collabs, because it can sometimes have an adverse effect on both brands and end up watering down what they both do, and can end up, especially some of the customer base, when they're not really aligned, it can end up making you not want to wear it anymore because now you have these other people who you don't really know wearing it. It's all a bit weird, but I don't mind it. But I think she's on point what she said there.
You say like, I'm gonna respond to people.
I'm human. Like, why are you so angry over this? To me, it's like you're not actually angry at that. You're angry about like a lot of things in your own life. You did this, Moa, and you're a coon, and you're this. That's like the most ridiculous statement you could even make. My name.
I don't know. I think she's being a little bit facetious and willfully ignorant, but I think she should be a little bit. I don't know. She doesn't need to do anything. She's doing well. But I think if you're getting as much hate that she's getting, you should have a moment of introspection. You should take a moment to pause and to reflect and to really investigate as to why people have such a visceral or adverse or negative reaction to you. And when it comes to Moa, I think a lot of the reaction to her is quite self-inflicted. I'm not going to lie. She has said some quite airheady things. That might just be a personality. I don't think it's a problem. I don't think it's a crime to be an airhead. Or to not have much about what you have to say and to just fire off things off the hilt because you just feel like it. I don't think everything has to be a fucking dissertation. Not everything has to be a TED talk. Not everything has to be a monologue or an essay. I get it. But I also think the thing that she said in the past, the thing that she's done in the past, she should be aware that it would upset some people. I think the one thing in particular that I think really disappointed a lot of people, especially some of the black queens on social media, especially within the fashion scene, was the fact that she ended up hooking up with what's his face, Ian Connor. I think the marriage relationship with the Ian Connor situation was the one that really pissed people off. And if I'm not mistaken, that wasn't even that, like, they hid it. Like, let's examine that a little bit. They kept that secret before. My guy, what's his name, Luis Pisano, big up him. I think he's the one that broke that story because I think she was going viral, and he kind of wanted to pour more petrol on the fire because fuck it. So she was kind of in the, she was kind of the topic of the conversation at one point, and then he just dropped the fact that, oh yeah, by the way, she's also fucking going out with Ian Connor. They're actually married. And I think my initial reaction to it was, oh, they're probably doing it for the papers. My second reaction was like, rah, Ted, bro, this Ian Connor guy, like, with no offense at all intended, like, the lad looks like a gargoyle, right? He legitimately looks like one. But he has got an incredible CV when it comes to the girls he's hooked up with over the years. Like Ian Connor, he's got an incredible CV. So, like, salute to the king. And then the third thing, I was like, I wonder why Mo would do that. Considering all the hate that she already gets, negativity that's already on her name, going out of your way to like hook up with a guy like that who's got all those allegations around him. Again, whether or not you think it's true or not when it comes to Ian Connor is no one's fucking, I don't really give a fuck to investigate it too tough. But, reputation online isn't the greatest. People said a lot of bad things about what he may or may have done relating to those allegations, however many R words he might have done. I think what's the troll? I think it's like 32, 33 or something. So I'm surprised that she's surprised that she would get hate on social media if that's her guy, we this is not a good example because Nicki Minaj is huge, but look at the amount of hate that Nicki Minaj gets for her decision to hook up with what's his name, the guy that she's with, and her baby daddy and the husband, whatever she's with. And I think that case is way complex. I think that case is a lot more. It's not as cut and dry. It's probably the media that's to make it seem as, but still, a lot of people, despite not liking Nicki for what she has to say, judge her harshly because of who she got in a relationship with. And again, it shouldn't matter, these kind of things, but I think you should be conscious of the fact that, okay, cool, I'm getting with this person who a lot of people don't like. I have to be aware that because I love them, I'm also going to inherit their problems and their beefs. You just got to be okay with it and keep it moving. But Moa doesn't seem to have an idea or understanding about that, and maybe thinks that all the hate is a bit unwarranted, which is a bit, whatever. But what can you do?
My name is Mowalola. I'm not trying to be anything other than that.
Like I said, I'm just surprising. It's just surprising to me because maybe I've not been outside long enough, but I don't know. I don't think I've ever encountered a lady like her. I think that's probably why she's so hard to take your eyes off and keep attention to when it comes to her designs and her clothing brand and shit. But when she speaks, you're like, interesting. There's not a lot going on there, isn't it? So I think if you're a hater and you watch this interview, I think you should come away from it thinking nothing's intentional, She's just doing it for the vibes. She's wanting, she's got ideas she wants to put out there. Some of them are not going to be the most tasteful. Some of them might be, a little bit insensitive. Some of them might rile you up the wrong way. But again, it's a free world. If you don't like it, just don't buy the clothes, It's Mowalola. It's not fucking H&M. You can easily avoid buying her stuff and not being, a part of her world by just completely kind of scrolling, keep on scrolling whenever you see her mentioned. So big up Mowalola. I'm a big fan anyway, and I can't wait to see what she does going forward. But the interview was interesting.